Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin al-Nabil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahabihi wa sallim taslima. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan Nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. So inshallah, now we are going to embark upon such a topic which overlaps with deen and dunya. Very, very much overlaps with deen and dunya. It is such a topic which, if you were to master this topic of time management, then everything in your entire life almost will fall in place. Everything. Your work, your studying, your marriage life, your children, your life with children, your life with the deen and the path to Allah, which is the most important thing, your life of conveying the message, your life of your own tazkiyah and purification, the time required for that would fall in place, your time for ascension would fall in place, your time for the fasting and gym and exercise would fall in place, your time for sleep and rest will be in place, your time for everything fall in place. And when the person's time is balanced and they've mastered this skill, this one success brings about many, many, many other successes. Many. They really don't stop, the number of successes that come. But for the ultimate successes, there are conditions attached. Like you see, there are non-Muslims who are very good with time management, but they will benefit their 24 hours in this world, in dunya, but sadly there may not be any benefit. There won't be any benefit if they die in this state in akhirah. But for Muslims, believers, when you manage time and you manage everything that falls under the time, then you begin to receive the benefits in this world, and you benefit inshallah in the hereafter. So this is going to be inshallah a very practical based session, so there will be activities for you to do during the session as well. But the first thing inshallah I just want to quickly go through is, I'm not going to do any elaboration on Surah Al-Asr, but because Professor Professor Muhammad, inshallah, alhamdulillah, he went through some of the key points regarding it the other day. But here you see the surah, inshallah, very, very short, and it begins that in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, by time, indeed, surely, mankind is in loss, except for those who have believed, done righteous deeds, advised each other on truth, and advised each other to patience. So, many different major aspects mentioned there. And one of the things to understand there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't mention all creation is in loss. Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned only mankind is in loss. And when mankind is mentioned, it refers also to the Jannat as well. It's like when the word he is mentioned, it refers to she as well. He, she. So Jannat are included there. So what does that mean? That why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not mention the animals and the angels and the other kingdoms? Why are they not mentioned? Why are they not in loss regarding time? All they seem to do is eat, sleep, reproduce. But they're not in loss. If we just ate, slept and reproduced, we would be in loss. And one of the reasons then I mentioned that the animals, they have belief. So do you see, those who have belief, the animals, the angels, the insects, all these other kingdoms, they have belief. So their first condition for successful time management is complete. Why would we then be unsuccessful if we didn't have belief? Because you could be the best at managing your time in this world, but as soon as death comes, all has gone to waste. Everything's gone to waste. Why? Because on the Day of Judgment, a person will be dipped inside Jannah and asked, did you go through any hardship in the world? And he will say, no. But he was a person who was poor, had nothing to eat for days and days and days. They were orphaned, they were refugees. These types of people, Allah Azza wa Jal, they went through so much hardship in this world, and Allah will say to them on the Day of Judgment, dip in paradise, and then, did you experience any hardship in the world? They will say, no Allah, we didn't experience any hardship. So they will be very successful. Then there will be people who in this world had everything, the money, the wealth, the people, the boss of businesses and all sorts of things. They've obviously managed their time well if they were worldly wise successful. But they will be dipped in, so they had all the luxuries of dunya. They will then be dipped in Jahannam and they will be asked. These are obviously unsuccessful people. Allah Azza wa Jal would not dip anyone in Jahannam for no reason. That is where they are going. But this is a lesson to me and you that this will happen. They will then be asked in front of all the people of the Maidan Hashra. Everyone knew them. So these will be people that me and you will know. Everyone knew them. You took them as role models. This is my role model, footballer, pop star, actor. In front of everyone they will be dipped and asked, did you enjoy any luxuries in dunya? Did you have anything? And they will say, no, I didn't experience any enjoyment. And yet they had everything. So in 1 second they forgot everything that they had. So this is the effect of belief upon time management. So then there are others, good deeds, advising one another to the truth, which is conveying the message. And then after it, what does the patience refer to? Steadfastness. Like I mentioned the other day, like you can become purified, you can become impurified. So once the person has done the minimum level, they need to maintain this. And the minute they think, I am pure, is the minute that they've become impure. So steadfastness, patience requires steadfastness, and steadfastness requires patience. So I'm not going to go into that, but look at what Imam Shafi'i rahmahullah, which many people in the Muslim world follow in terms of fiqh and other sciences. He said that if the whole Quran wasn't revealed and only these 3 verses of Surah Al-Asr were revealed, this is one surah alone would be sufficient to take a person to Jannah. It would be enough as guidance. Why? Well, one of the reasons is that I mentioned right at the beginning, when the person manages their time, everything in their life becomes in its place. No pressure do they begin to feel, no stress, because everything is at its right time. Even the mind is organized. Even the heart becomes organized and it has its place. Even the spirit becomes organized. Everything can, within the time, they can be organized. And you just need to learn the first steps. And wherever step you're on, everyone in this room will be at different levels of time management. So it's difficult to give any speech because it's a practical subject. Time management is not a theoretical subject. It is not. It is a practical subject. If you listen only and you go away, you will not be able to manage time just by listening. You need to take practical steps and solutions to do these. And inshallah, it will be filled with practical solutions you take, which is for you, whichever level is for you. There will be different levels mentioned, inshallah. So one of the things which I'd like to share is very personal to me as well, is the teachings of Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayh, which is going to come up on the next slide. And because it was something which inspired me when Hazrat Sahib mentioned it a long time ago, that was what inspired me to then go and manage my time. And that's when my journey of managing time began. So, and hopefully it can inspire you too. So, but look at this very important hadith, very famous, which the Holy Prophet ﷺ mentioned, that you take advantage of 5 before the 5. Take advantage of 5 before 5. What are they? Your youth before you become old. You will definitely become old. So, take advantage of the youth before you become old. It's a topic in itself. Your health before you become ill and sick. Your richness before you become poor. And your free time before you become busy. That preoccupy yourself before you become preoccupied. Busy yourself before you become busy. It's mentioned that the nafs, if you do not keep your nafs busy in good, it will keep you busy in bad. So this is very important. If you do not keep your... And remember the things I normally mention twice, I repeat, they're the things to sometimes write down. Those are things to memorize. That's why they're repeated. So if your nafs keeps you busy, if you do not keep your nafs busy in good, your nafs will keep you busy in bad. So free time is very, very harmful. Very harmful for people, having so much free time. Leisure time and free time are not the same thing. Realize this. I'm not saying don't have any leisure. You will see leisure within timetables. I'm saying time which is not allocated, that there is no objective behind this time, that what should I do now? That you will never hear the friends of Allah saying, I don't know what to do right now, what should I do? They have always planned ahead of time what to do then, what to do then, what to do then. Hardly ever would you ever hear someone say this, that I don't know what to do, I'm bored. They never get bored, because they've always planned an objective in that slot, in that slot, in that slot. So occupy yourself before you become occupied. And you take advantage of your life before your death. This is the only life that you can use to attain the closeness of Allah Azza wa Jal. Imagine this, just one, it's the biggest thing. In Jannah, the highest level of Jannah, Jannatul Firdaus, is the Jannat with creation stuff still there. There are trees, there are fruits, there are palaces, there are rivers and all sorts of wonderful things, and they are the highest quality. But there is a Jannat above there. Above doesn't mean that it's like this. Jannat doesn't have dimensions. There is a Jannat called Jannat al-Aliyah, mentioned in the Holy Quran. This Jannat, there is no creation there. There is nothing from creation. There is no hurs, no wives, no palaces, no nothing like this. There is only the blessed vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there. And that is where the awliya and the friends of Allah will yearn to be. They don't even want Jannah. They don't want Jannah. They don't work for Jannah. They only strive for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then finally to see Him, the beloved that they've been waiting for so long. In this dunya, no matter what you see, you can never see Allah. But in Jannah, Jannat al-Aliyah, there they see Allah. Now why am I saying this regarding time? Because who are those that will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then? They are those who used this time in this world beneficially. And those who wasted this time, those who didn't reach this a level to then be able to be permitted to see Allah in Jannah. Imagine when you die, you cannot increase your status. In this sense, you become like an angel. You don't become an angel, but angels cannot increase their status. They can't do anything to become more closer to Allah. Whatever they're given, they're given. They can't do any good deeds to increase. They can't purify themselves because they're already purified. They don't have any temptation to sin because they are sinless. So in this sense, after death you also become like that you don't have free will anymore. Your wonderful ability to choose between good and bad has gone. So you have no free will. You cannot increase your closeness and status. Only in this special time you have now can you ever do this. So how important is this time? That this time you spend is the time in which you can have access to become one of those who will see Allah in Jannah. And otherwise you waste this time, then you can never get that. Does anybody know the one thing which can be worse than Jahannam, and the one thing which can be better than Jannat? Imagine the great saint Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Barih was asked this question. The scholar Ahmad Mubarak asked so many people, so many scholars, so many of the mashayikh. Nobody could give him an answer. That is there one thing which can be better than Jannah and one thing which can be worse than Jahannam? The one, I'm not going to mention the other, the one thing better than Jannah because it's too difficult to understand. But the one thing which is worse than Jahannam is that a person can never, ever, ever meet their Lord, and never can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessed face. That they will have such a regret, such a punishment in the akhirah, that I've lost the very purpose of my existence, my life, that the time has now passed, it's expired, and Allah will say to them, people, that never call upon me this day. Never call upon me this day. And they will be filled with the regret that is unimaginable, the feeling and the punishment that that will bring upon them. So a person, when they go through that, they would rather... Have you never seen people commit suicide and heard them, they commit suicide? They happens all the time in the UK. Why do they commit suicide? They think that this suicide will release me of the pain I feel. So they kill themselves. So here in Jahannam, people will say that bring death, bring death, bring death. So they are feeling so much despair in not seeing Allah. Imagine, why are they asking for death? One of the reasons that they're asking for more pain is to destroy this feeling of that I regret not reaching Allah and I can never meet Him and see Him now. So realize your real purpose is in meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and pleasing Him and reaching His closeness. And this time is the only time you have to reach it. Because a time will come when you will realize, and we will realize. Another ayat of the Holy Quran regarding the value of time is, on the Day of Judgment, people will say that, "Oh Allah, send me back. Send me back so that I may do good deeds and so that I may believe." So what does this mean? Think about it. Day of Judgment hasn't happened yet. It's not happened. So where are they asking Allah Azza wa Jal to send them back to? They are asking, and I don't say they, I say you, because you will be amongst them, that you will be on the Day of Judgment as well. Hopefully we won't be in this category. But so these people will say, "Oh Allah, send me back to where Mohsin is sitting now, to where Professor Saab is sitting now, to where Abdul Rahman is sitting now, to where Junaid and Zishan and myself are sitting now." They will want to come where me and you are sitting right now. So how valuable is this time that you will realize on the Day of Judgment, "Oh Allah, I don't want to be here on the Day of Judgment. I can see the Prophet ﷺ now." You can see him. Everyone says, "I want to see the Holy Prophet ﷺ." Well, on the Day of Judgment you can see him, but you're saying, "Allah, send me back here where I can't see him." How strange a matter. You can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can see the angels, Jannah, Jahannam, people want to see paradise. On the Day of Judgment you can see them, but you're saying, "Oh Allah, send me back to dunya, where the very place where I could have changed my destiny." So ponder upon those words, because they are not something which is understood by listening, they are understood by deep thinking. So ponder upon them after, inshallah they will benefit. So now look at the words of Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi, and what his guidance is regarding time. Then inshallah we'll do one activity and then show some practical steps. So Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi says, and imagine he's saying this to you directly, "You should not neglect time or use it haphazardly," which means wastefully, like just willy-nilly. It's nothing special, it's just time. On the contrary, you should bring yourself to account, structure your litanies and other practices during each day and night, and assign each period during the day and night a fixed and specific function. So what this litanies just means your tasks. So every moment, day and night, should have tasks there that you are doing. Do not misunderstand and think that tasks means I'm always busy. Task also means spending time with the family. That's a task, that's a litany as well. Shutting off from the world and just enjoying and relaxing. This is a task as well. So when you have time management, you even know when to rest. When you assign your time and structure it, even going to the bathroom has its time. Even sleeping has its time. Those people who sleep whenever they feel like that, "I don't feel like sleeping, I'm not going to sleep." So, but they haven't structured a structured time or a plan. They're following maybe their feelings, unless they're different, that they don't need much sleep. Most mankind needs 8 hours sleep. Majority needs 8 hours sleep, 7, 8 hours sleep. Very few people need less than that. So everything should have a structure. You should already know before itikaf, before you leave, what are you doing on the itikaf. Eid might be on Thursday. You should know what you're doing on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the week ahead. How many have planned the week after itikaf? But if you decide I'm only going to plan it then, well then, what will you do if you're going to plan today for tomorrow? Tomorrow's activities may be something that there is a deadline approaching, and that deadline you may have missed. Why do so many people miss applications for certain things? They've not planned well in advance. It should be planned more in advance, inshallah. So every time, the main thing is, don't use it like it's nothing, like it's just money that you can give here and there. It's much, much more precious than money. They say your time is money. You've heard this saying? Business people say, time is money. Really, this is more of a misconception. It has its meaning, but it is more of a lie. Why? Because money has its value. Money, you can put value on it. That this 60,000 can buy this house, and so on. So money has its value. But your time is valueless. It is precious. It is completely priceless. So how can you put value on something which is priceless? Your time, 1 second of tawbah is all you would need to wipe out Jahannam. 1 tear of fear of Allah can wipe a quarter of hellfire for you. And 1 tear of love of Allah can wipe out half of the hellfire for you. So imagine 2 tears out of the love of Allah. It took a second maybe to do, but it wiped out Jahannam for the person. So look at the value of time. Can money do this? No, it can never do that. So this is how to bring about the spiritual blessings in each period. But if you leave yourself adrift, aimlessly wandering as cattle do, the animals, not knowing how to occupy yourself, at every moment your time will be lost. So the more you don't know how to manage time, the more time will be lost, is what he's saying. The more the spiritual blessings of that time will be lost, the more you don't use it effectively. There is blessing in the tahajjud time, there is blessing in ishraq time, after the sunrise. There is blessing in the morning, and there is blessing in every time, even after Asr, before, after Azan till the prayer. Maghrib and Fajr, Sunnat Askars, that every time has its special allocation of things to do. But you will lose the spiritual blessing if you haven't assigned, I will do this then, this then, this then, and at least like this. So not knowing how to occupy yourself, that you're becoming like the animals. The animals, they're not sinful at all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them in this way. Why do they not need to manage time? Because the answer is, they are fulfilling their purpose of life. And their purpose of life, amongst them, is that they are constantly worshipping Allah, constant in the remembrance and the zikr of Allah. Allah mentioned, there is nothing in the heavens and the earth that does not glorify your Lord. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ also mentioned, everything recognizes Him. So they are fulfilling their purpose of life, so they can eat, sleep and marry. No, they don't even marry, they reproduce. So they can do them and they are fine because they are fulfilling their purpose. But for us to fulfill the purpose, we have free will. And because of this free will, you need to begin to manage the time wisely. And then you will fulfill your purpose. So then Imam Ghazali says, rahmahullah, it is nothing other than your life, and your life is the capital, the very thing which you can use, that you make use of to reach perpetual felicity, the proximity of Allah the Exalted. So perpetual felicity just means extreme closeness to Allah and presence and intimacy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, but the first part is this, that your time is your life. So if you think, oh, time management, I don't need to do it, then it's like you're saying, I don't need, my life is waste. My life is not important. Those who think time is not important, they're saying my life is not important. So what kind of value have you given to yourself? If you cannot value yourself, you cannot value your time. Then value yourself. You are ummati of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Every prophet and messenger before the Holy Prophet ﷺ wanted to be an ummati. So value the time in which you live in, because they value it. And imagine you have such a thing which prophets ﷺ do not have. So the time in which you are born is a blessed time. So each of your breaths is a priceless jewel, since each of them is irreplaceable and once gone can never be retrieved. So every breath, every single breath, every heartbeat is precious. Do not be like the deceived fools who are joyous because each day their wealth increases whilst their life shortens. So those people who are, it's fine to become happy, alhamdulillah, you have a good work, good business and so on. This is good, but do not be heedless of your very thing which is running out, which is more precious. Your breaths, your glances, you have rizq in these as well. Everyone has an allocated share of wealth, but you also have an allocated share of footsteps, an allocated share of glances, an allocated share of speech. Everyone has this. Do you not see those people who lose their voice? They cannot speak anymore. Sometimes this happens, people lose their voice, but their rizq for speech has stopped. Do you not see those who become blind? Their rizq for sight has stopped before their death. Everything doesn't stop with death, things stop before. Do you not see those who lose their feet and their legs in their limbs? Their rizq of walking has stopped. So rizq is in these ways as well. So what good is an increase in wealth when life grows ever shorter? Therefore be joyous only in increase of knowledge and good works, good deeds, for they are your companions who will accompany you in the grave when your family, wealth, children and friends stay behind. How many have lost their parents and the family relatives? How often we think of them? How often we pray of them? So when you go in the grave, people will leave you then as well. Unless you've left good pious children behind, they will remember you and send reward, and they'll remember you every day. Like your parents, when they have children, many of you have children, you change the nappies and you feed the babies and you work for them and you play with them. They need constant supervision, 24 hours a day. How many of us spend this time for our parents? When the principle was that you take care of the children when they're babies, and when they grow older, you become elderly, then the children take care of the elderly. But how many of us take care of our time with our elderly parents? But rather people are in this mentality, oh, it's a burden to look after my parents, it's a burden. It's no burden. In one khidmat of your parents is more good deeds and pleasure of Allah than in all ittikaf, in 40 days khalwat, in doing for the whole year. Sometimes there is more goodness in serving one's parents. So this a person needs to realize that those people who are blessed to still have parents and they serve them, they clean them, they feed them, what a great honor they have. And you cannot even begin to imagine the greatness of reward and pleasure Allah they get. But those sad people who think it's a burden, they are really the burden upon their parents, those children who think like this. So do not become like them, and never think this is a waste of your time. This is a blessing for you, and maybe it will be the means for you to be saved from Jahannam.